Back. So in the previous video we created some game art for the player character and hazards. In this tutorial we're going to take a look at these import settings visible in the inspector and then assemble our character inside of the scene view, ready to be programmed and then animated. With that said, let's get started. So I'll start by selecting the player sprites and taking a look at all these settings. Now we won't be using a lot of these, but one or two are very useful. For now you'll notice that if I hold down the left mouse button on my sprites and drag them over to the scene view, the player looks like this, which is obviously not something we want. I want to be able to manipulate each body part independently of the rest, so that I can assemble the character properly and animate him. So we need to slice up each body part. To do so we must set the sprite mode from single to multiple, because we indeed have multiple sprites here, and then hit the apply button down here to save those changes. And now I'll click on the sprite editor button. This will open up a new window. It's a pretty straightforward interface, and it will allow us to slice out the character into individual sprites. To do so, just hold down the left mouse button and drag a marquee over each body part. So I'll do so for the head, body, arms, and legs. Note that you can tweak the size of your marquee by holding down the left mouse button over an edge and dragging it around. And try to not have the head marquee have anything but the head inside it, for example, which is why we spaced out these sprites like this in the first place. If not, then you'll get a head sprite with a bit of body, arms, or legs too. Anyway, with that done, I'll hit apply up here to save my changes. Close the sprite editor, and now by clicking on this little arrow, you'll see that my player is now made up of all these different sprites for each body part. And I can easily left click on any of these and drag them inside of the scene view, each one independent from the rest. So I'll try and assemble my character using my manipulation tools, taking a look at him in Photoshop from time to time if need be. However, you may notice that the body is in front of the head and the arms are in front of the body, which looks a bit weird, so we can use the order and layer inside of the sprite render component to fix that. Quick reminder, objects with a lower ordering layer will render behind objects with a higher ordering layer. So for example, I'll give the head an ordering layer of 2 so that it renders in front of the body, which I'll give an ordering layer of 1. Now I can select any body part I like, either from the scene view or with the hierarchy, and have fun rotating each piece around. You'll notice that having the head rotate like this looks a bit weird though. It would be better if it rotated around the bottom instead of the center. Same for the arms, they should rotate around the shoulders, not the center. To change this, we need to grab our player sprites inside of the project window again, and then head back to the sprite editor. You'll see that with each marquee we created, there's a little blue icon. This is the pivot point and indicates from where our object will scale, rotate, and move from. So I'll hold down the left mouse button over the head pivot point, for example, and drag it to the bottom of the head. Then I'll move the body one down to the hips so that it rotates around that. For the arms, I'll do so near the shoulders, and for the legs around the top. For now, just copy what I'm doing, but with practice I assure you, you'll have a much stronger understanding of where each pivot point should go and why. Hitting apply and closing the sprite editor, you'll notice that the character isn't assembled properly again, which is normal. Just reassemble him again, and now you'll see that we can manipulate each body part around a new pivot point. If it isn't working for you, make sure to switch this button to pivot and not center. Center will automatically set the pivot point to the, well, center of the object. Great, our character is almost ready to be animated. We now just need to take some time inside of the hierarchy. First of all, let's clean things up and stay organized by renaming each body part. Again, just do so by double clicking slowly on the name of the object inside of the hierarchy or in the inspector. It might seem like an annoying extra step, but in the long run, trust me, it will save you time and a lot of confusion. With that done, I'll create an empty game object. What is an empty game object? It's just an object that exists in the scene but doesn't have any visual appearance or any components attached to it at all, except for a transform component. We could of course add new components to this empty game object, but we're not going to do that just yet. For now, I'll rename it to player and use it to store all of my player's body parts. Before doing so, just make sure to move it at the center of the player. Now I'll hold down the shift key on my keyboard and left click on each one to select them all at once. Note that you can also hold down the shift key and left click on one, and then left click an object further down the hierarchy to also select all objects in between. And you can also hold down Control on your keyboard to deselect any object you like. Anyway, with my objects selected, I'll keep my left mouse button held down and drag them inside of the player empty game object. And now you'll see that if I move, rotate, or scale my player empty game object, all the body parts also move, rotate, and scale with it. What we've done here is called parenting. We've parented all the body parts to the player empty game object. We can call the player objects the parent of these objects here, which are his children. And this is very useful for animation and so much more. For example, when I rotate the body like this, I would like the head to rotate along with it. So I'll simply select the head inside of the hierarchy and drag it inside of the body. And now if I manipulate the body, the head will move along with it. Great. Finally, I'll parent the arms to the body, so that when we move, rotate, or scale the body, the arms will do the same. And now our player character is ready to be brought to life with some C# code, which is exactly what you'll be doing with Liam in the next video. You'll be programming the player character so that he can move left and right. And I'll see you again after that to animate our character. Okay, best of luck and see you soon.